Good evening, I'm Tips Mahoy, and this is ArthIntel Evening Edition. Coming up, police release Nancy Guthrie ransom notes in latest bid to find kidnappers, a high-stakes test for Trump's Gaza ceasefire board as Hamas disarmament looms. Iran puts U.S. and Israeli energy infrastructure in crosshairs with chilling threat. That, plus a check of the weather across the country. Police in Arizona have released 2 ransom notes tied to the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of NBC News anchor Savannah Guthrie, hoping the public can identify the writer's distinct linguistic characteristics. The first note, sent February 2nd, demanded $4 million in Bitcoin, threatening to raise it to $6 million and ultimately kill her if payment wasn't made by set deadlines. A second note, received 4 days later, claimed Nancy Guthrie died shortly after being taken, saying it was heart-related. But the Pima County Sheriff's Office says it cannot verify her death, and the investigation remains active. Nancy Guthrie disappeared from her home near Tucson on January 31st. No suspect has been arrested, and no motive has been disclosed. A newly announced agreement on Hamas disarmament, an Israeli withdrawal, and a transition to civilian rule in Gaza now faces its biggest test: implementation, overseen by the Board of Peace, the international body created under President Trump's ceasefire plan. Hamas officials say the group has agreed to the disarmament terms, though Israel has not yet commented. The board's Director General, Nikolay M. Mladenov, says withdrawal must move in lockstep with decommissioning, while a Palestinian technocratic body, the National Committee for the Administration of Gaza, says it's ready to take over governing and restoring services. The UN, World Bank, and EU estimate rebuilding the war-torn territory will cost $70 billion, far more than the $7 billion pledged by board members so far. Iran is warning it will strike back at critical energy infrastructure if the US or Israel attack, according to comments published by state-affiliated Tasnim news agency. A senior security official told Tasnim that reports of possible American and Israeli strikes amount to, quote, a kind of madness, and said Tehran has prepared what he called extensive response plans targeting Israeli infrastructure and U.S. energy assets in the region. The warning comes after the White House told Fox News Digital that President Trump is not going to stand by and allow this terrorist behavior to occur, adding that Iran will continue to pay until it comes to the table in a way the president deems meaningful. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. The Trump administration has dropped its case against former Olympic canoeist Davy Hearn, who had been charged with vandalizing the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. In a Friday filing, prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office for D.C. said new documents from the Interior Department indicate the damage was actually caused by a botched installation by contractor Atlantic Industrial Coatings, not vandalism. The office said it would not have sought an indictment had it known this information earlier, and it's also moving to dismiss at least one other related misdemeanor case. Hearn's attorney, Stephen Levin, said the case should never have been brought and that the federal government owes Hearn an apology. The Selective service system is modernizing its operations, requesting a digital simulation of a full draft mobilization pipeline, with proposals due August 14th, according to the Military Times. The push comes amid escalation in the Russo-Ukrainian and Iran wars, and former Green Beret Michael Yon told the Daily Caller News Foundation a draft could come within a few years, though other experts, including Duke's Peter Feaver and CNAS's Jason Dempsey, say a traditional draft remains highly unlikely and politically impractical. White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt said a draft is not part of the current plan right now, while noting President Trump does not remove options off the table. A law signed by President Trump on December 18, 2025 will automatically register all men ages 18 to 26 starting December 19, 2026, and the Selective Services fiscal 2027 budget request rises to $32.3 million from $31.3 million. President Trump said Friday the United States has not agreed to let Ukraine build its own Patriot missiles, saying Washington must be very careful about letting somebody build them. That contradicts Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who said after meeting Trump this week that the U.S. president had agreed to license Patriot production to Ukraine. Trump himself only said many things were discussed, and the meeting went very well. Ukraine's envoy to Washington, Olha Stefanishina, said talks are underway with the Pentagon on a license to produce PAC-3 missiles, but the process could take anywhere from 1 to 5 years. She said Ukraine is facing 30 to 40 ballistic missiles a night in recent attacks and urgently needs interceptors to get through the winter. President Trump said Friday his $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund is dead, even as he continued to defend the idea of compensating people prosecuted by the Justice Department, including many involved in the January 6th Capitol attack. The declaration comes amid a standoff with Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, who are blocking Attorney General nominee Todd Blanche's confirmation until they get the fund's cancellation in writing. Tillis said Trump's own comments show the fund is still alive, which he says is exactly why senators are pushing to formally end it. Separately, Trump's attorneys said Friday they'll appeal a judge's ruling that sharply criticized the settlement of his IRS lawsuit as an improper act of self-dealing. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. The New York Times reports that Federal Reserve Chairman Kevin Warsh is considering reducing the frequency of the central bank's scheduled policy meetings. According to the paper, Warsh raised the proposal at this week's gathering of the rate-setting Federal Open Market Committee. A Fed spokesperson declined to comment on the report. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. The Houston Astros are temporarily moving right-hander Tatsuya Imai to the bullpen for this weekend's series against the Texas Rangers. Manager Joe Espada says the switch comes after Imai got just 2 outs while allowing 2 runs and 4 walks in his last start against the Angels. Imai, in his first year in Houston after signing a 3-year, $54 million deal following 8 seasons in Japan, is 6'4" with a 5.83 ERA this season, and has failed to get out of the 3rd inning in 5 of his 15 starts. Espada says the plan is for the move to last just this series, adding the team wants to get him right, and believes he can quickly adjust to relief work. ArthIntel Headline News is brought to you in part by Toolbox Development, AI web development and marketing. Learn more at toolboxdevelopment.net. We'll be right back. And finally, here's a look at temperatures across the country right now. It's hottest in Phoenix at 112 degrees, while Minneapolis is the coolest spot on the board this evening at 67. That's ArthIntel Evening Edition for now 9 stories, coast to coast. I'm Tips Mahoy for ArthIntel Signal Over Noise. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, enable notifications so you never miss an update, and visit arthintel.com for the full stories.